Well, hello, peeps. It's the Hillbilly Halfwit. I'm sorry I had to redo this video again because, as one of my people pointed out in here, I didn't notice until I re-saw it that I had a bogey on the end of my nose and it looked horrible. So I did that out in the shed, and that was the only video I haven't looked at and previewed since I've been putting videos up, and that one had to be the one, didn't it? So here we are. We're just doing this video again. This was a funny one. Now on my forestry time. Now you have to remember, if you think it was drinking all the time, of course I used to drink a bit at the weekend back then, but was working very hard doing shift work and really working hard on the forestry then, doing long hours to pay for the farm mortgage and things like that. So when we got the chance to go out, we went out in style, and that's how it always was. And I'm not one of these people that could hold a beer. It was like a madman being let out from a cage. I have to be honest, and most of us were like that. We're just good fun. So I remembered the date. So actually, it's a good thing I have to redo this. So this was the Euro '96 time, and we were going into the pubs in Bala to watch the football. That's what was going on. I can remember now. And there's another thing happened around that time. I'm not going to do it on this video, lest it'll be too long. So let me repeat what happened. I was working up there on the forestry, doing first thinnings on a Samsung track machine and timberjack head. And I was only me there really, because when you're in first thinnings, you could barely cut down 70 to 80 ton a day on a really, really good day because it's just that they were small trees. You were physically sweating in the machine because it was so hard to do. And the rate at which I was getting paid was £1 a meter, so roughly £1 a ton, and that was too low. And they just brought this in on our firm. Before then, it was all hours, and they just brought this new thing in because a firm had taken over my boss's firm, and they wanted us all to work for that firm for meterage. And my meterage was set too low, and it was a job to make the money I needed all week. So it was long hours and just get your head down. So we got to the end of this job nearly, and I'd been on this job for months because there's a big old area, and I'd been living in a caravan on the site itself, and it was horrible, absolutely horrible. And I said to the boss, like, this is no good. I don't mind having a bit of low money just for this job, but I'm not staying here. I'm not happy staying here. So he said, we'll take the caravan down to this caravan site. So I took the caravan down to this caravan site, started staying there. It was so much better. So much better. You could have a wash and you can go into town to get some stuff. And it was so much better, so much better. So then my mate Mac came up then when we were at the end of the job, you see, to do some hedgerow trees and that you couldn't get to with a harvester. And I think he was there for maybe 2 weeks. Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks. This happened to be when Euro '96 was on. So I hadn't done any drinking whatsoever. I'd been there for months and months and months, nothing. And I'm never really much of a fan of football. And anyway, so first week there, we go down to the caravan where I was staying, go to put the kettle on, no gas. What the hell has happened? Blooming squirrel had bit through the pipe and all the gas had gone out and while I hadn't been there. So this was we rented this place and the caravan site was empty. And next thing I knew, my mate had been looking around the caravan next door, and there was nobody in it. It's a big static caravan because they put us right down in the corner. And he said, "There's a huge bottle down there of gas in these cupboards." He said, "We can have one of them." So he's padlocked. So This story has changed since yesterday because I don't want to put all the blame on him because it wasn't him. I said, look, I got a pipe cutter in the back, and what it was, I had a pipe cutter for cutting um, pipe hydraulic pipes. It's slightly like a bolt cutter, so I got that out. I said that'll probably deal with that. Bang, off it came, and we had this big bottle of gas, and then we shut the doors, put the lock there again. You could not tell. So we run this huge bottle of gas suddenly appeared outside our van, and we got everything going. And the bloke on the site, he was not happy. He knew something was up, but he could not prove that we'd had this gas. And sometimes you just do stuff, and you look back after and you think, "What the hell?" And I've never ever done nothing like that before or since. It was just we had nothing to eat or drink that, and you know what it's like sometimes. So we started going into town now to watch the football, and oh, we was getting pretty wrecked uh, watching the football. And this one night we came back. Uh, Mark was a lot shorter than me. He was more of a boxier build, and I'm a tall guy, so I was sleeping down the one end of this little caravan, which was my boss's father's and mother's favourite caravan, and I was lying at the one end, and he was trying to lie at the other end, but he couldn't get comfortable. So we come back pissed one night, and he said, "This toilet is always in the way at the far end. Yeah, I can't get my legs. I'm sleeping with my legs bent all the time." And so he started to rip it down. Oh my God Almighty! If you can imagine, there's a corner piece where a toilet is and a shower. We were kicking and pulling and ripping. We ripped this whole thing out, chucked it outside the door on the grass, and went to sleep. It was a hell of a lot better for him to sleep, and he wasn't happy with that. He said, "I want somewhere to hang up my clothes, my wet clothes." So he went in my van, and there were some 6-inch nails in my van, and he hammered in some 6-inch nails as, as coat hooks from the inside to the outside of the caravan, with the frying pan. And the memory, I can still see him every time he hit it. Bong, bong. Oh, it was mad. It was mad. So when we got up in the morning, obviously bad heads, like, looked out the door. Half the caravan is all out on the grass there. Bloke is not happy again. So all I did was chuck it underneath the caravan, forgot nothing more about it. So we just happened to go to work then, and I'd been cutting for a long time, and there was a good bit of stuff down. There was no forwarder there. So a friend of mine who was doing the forwarding most of the time, he turned up there to start doing forwarding, and it wasn't very often the three of us was together. So we just happened to this one morning. I don't know, was it the first day? It was probably the second or third day he was there. We just got this dullness in us. We looked at each other in the morning. None of us felt like doing anything. It was a lovely, lovely day, and somebody said, "Let's go walkabout." So I got to be honest, I was up for it. So he said, "Where do you want to go?" So I don't. It was somebody mentioned, "Let's go to Bangor," and I got my white transit van then. So I said, "Go on then," but I'm not driving. I'm not getting done for drinking driving. So Max said, "I'll drive." He said, you know what he's been very, very good at things like that because he's a good driver and he knows when he's had enough and under limit." So I said, "Come on then, we'll do it." So off the three of us go now. I think this was on a Wednesday. And this was something I remembered more. We were gone for 3 days. We weren't just gone for 2 days. We were gone for 3 days. Nobody knew where the hell we were. So off we go like a bunch of lunatics, and driving up to Bangor. Well. We got into Bangor. It was full of students, and we were drinking like fools. It was well, like a load of. Max stayed reasonably tidy because he was sensible. Let's be honest. He was a bit older than us. As soon as I had a sniff of beer, I was off like a lunatic because I hadn't had a drink for weeks. And Tegs was the same. Tegs could hold his beer, but we were just being daft. We ended up into some nightclub there, and God Almighty, we danced. I like dance like a fool when I've had beer on. So then we went back to stay in the van, which was in the car park. So in the middle of the night, bang, bang, bang on the side of the van. What the hell is going on? It was the police. The two lads was it sleeping in the front, and what are you lot doing in here? La la la. I was in the back, and what's it called? Say, well, we're just sleeping in the van for tomorrow, and then we're going home. No problem at all. It's perfectly okay. We're not going to drive or anything. Fine. And surprisingly enough, fair play to this copper. He said, "Okay, that's no problem at all. Just don't drive from you." So that was a close one as it was, especially as there was a bong on the windscreen that one of the lad had been using, and the copper never noticed that. So in the morning, obviously, this lot started driving as soon as possible. Sorry, Max started driving as soon as possible, and he was sober as a judge. I've never seen a guy like him. Next morning he gets up, he's just normal, and off he's off driving. I'm still sleeping in the back, bouncing around in the van, and then we got back to Bala very early in the morning. It was like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and then we went on the piss in Bala. We were in these tea shops, playing hell in the tea shops. Oh my God. And in the pubs. There was a hell of a row when all this was all done with because we've been away from 3 days. Nobody knew where he was. Oh, the boss went mental and whatever. Anyway, on this last week we were there now, things still weren't right and we were starting to talk a bit. Boss sent me a message. Can you take the caravan up to the turnaround in the forestry because mother and father want to take it to the Royal Welsh Show? And I'm like, what? I said, I thought the caravan was for us boys. Oh, no, no. He said, that was just for this job. And I was like, oh, God almighty. I didn't realize at that time, I did not realize it was his mother and father's favorite thing. So we hooked it on the back of the transit and went up the road up towards the wood quietly up these roads. And then as soon as we hit the forestry road, for some reason, I looked across at Mac and I got the devilment in me. I know, looking back, what a thing to do. I was going up these forestry roads like a lunatic, absolute lunatic, trying to get the caravan to see if it could come right sideways alongside the van. We got it down in the ditch. It was hitting the back of the caravan in the ditch and pulling the van in, and then we go the other way. It was going like this all over the place. And it was coming right round and then pulling the van round. We were laughing, and I don't know to this day why we did it. It was just one of them mad weeks in your life. And then I went to this big turnaround where we were supposed to leave it, and I just went like this, and I pulled uphill a little bit. Mac jumped out. Right, I'll get the caravan off. I was going to reverse back. He lifted the caravan off. Caravan takes off backwards. On its own, I'm looking in the wing mirror as this thing is kicking up speed, going like hell. It's a hell of a drop over the other side. I'm thinking, what the hell? This is bad. And then it steers off into the ditch on the one side and ends up poking up in the air, straight up in the air like that in the ditch. At least it hadn't gone over the side. So we pulled it back on the level then and just left it there. Oh, there was a hell of a row. A hell of a row. It was mad. My boss was not happy. It was nothing about his fault. He was a lovely old guy. It was just us lot had gone mad for 1 week, and it happens every now and then in your life. Oh my God, that was a funny week. That was hilarious. I can't remember everything that happened in Bala there, but we were like a bunch of lunatics in the Bala. But that's a story for today. And I've got another one that's coming that you'll like about the Royal Welsh Show. Because my mate reminded me about that yesterday. So sorry I had to do this again. I know it's a pain, but I could not see it. And as I'm looking at this camera now, I can't see now because my eyesight isn't up to much, you see. So please comment, rate, and subscribe. All the best, guys.